This question asks us, during the 1928 U.S. presidential campaign, Herbert Hoover, the Republican candidate, said that the United States should only import products that it could not produce domestically. Do you believe that this would be a good policy? Please explain why. So we have to again consider the following things: comparative advantage versus absolute advantage. So because of this situation, the United States should, given all else equal, which is how we say ceteris paribus, giving all else being equal, the United States should only produce what it has a comparative advantage in producing. If it doesn't have a comparative advantage, it would benefit it to trade, to get those goods that it can't produce at a certain price or at a cheaper price. So for instance, let's say, using a PPF as an example, let's say the United States has two goods, 1928. So let's say the United States could make steel, or the United States could produce grain. So at a certain point, the United States would benefit from an allocation of steel or grain. But which one does it have an absolute advantage in? Remember, that doesn't matter. We need to consider which one the United States has a comparative advantage in. And in the 1920s, the United States had a comparative advantage in steel. So it would benefit at the time from only producing steel. Now, should you only produce what you could? Should you only import what you could not produce out in your own country? I don't think that that's a good answer. And to explain, let me show you a market. So let me show you a supply and demand curve. I'm gonna use red. I'm gonna use green, blue for supply, and green for demand. So if you produce only, if you import only products that you can produce, that you don't produce, what you do is you shift the supply curve to the left. Let me make sure I label my axes. So by shifting the supply curve left, what you're doing is you're decreasing the quantities supplied for your consumers, and you're increasing the equilibrium price. So by importing goods that only the goods that you don't make in your country, you're hurting other consumers because you're denying them access to those market goods. So in actuality, a government or a country should import goods even if it produces those goods, because it will help equalize the market. And just to make sure that we understand, you want to you don't want to waste resources. If you're not importing those resources, like if let's say we cut our grain imports, you're still going to have maximum steel allocation. But remember, not importing puts you inside the production possibilities frontier, and that is inefficiency.